Representative McCormick, I understand you have amendments to this bill. Would you like to take up the amendments before your opening?
No, thank you. We've got those prepared, but we don't want to submit them at this time. Thank you.
Opening on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, Committee. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the chance to come before you here today. I was House Bill 16 is a constitutional carry bill. It comes from a long, year-long effort of going in the community, talking to people, seeing what things that they would like to have on their constitutional carry bill. And I actually brought with me today Mr. John Lott. I will go ahead and introduce him. Dr. John Lott Jr. is economist, a world-recognized expert on guns and crime. Lott recently served in the Trump administration as senior advisor for research and statistics and for the U.S. Department of Justice. Mr. Lott, Dr. Lott is an expert in the field. He's wrote books on the issue, and if you have any questions about statistics, he's very up to date, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him right now. He has a time crunch.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the committee's time. I appreciate Vice Chair Bakla inviting me. As we've heard, Louisiana would be the 21st state to adopt so-called constitutional carry. There are lots of dire predictions that are being made, but if you look back, those were very much the same predictions that were brought up when Louisiana adopted concealed carry laws to begin with. In terms of concerns at that time was the amount of training, proper, and risks for people being able to go and carry. What you can see is there are now 43 states that have right to carry laws. And one thing that's interesting is that none of the states that adopted right to carry have reversed those laws. With regard to constitutional carry, none of the states that have constitutional carry have even had a hearing to go and decide to reverse or undo any of the laws that they have. Constitutional carry in Louisiana will make two main changes. One is how quickly somebody can go and get a permit, and the second thing is the cost. Because costs have been brought up some, I'll just talk about a little bit. Louisiana has a $125 fee. That's 2.5 times the national average. When you add in the other costs, the costs get near $300. Louisiana ranks 25th in terms of the percentage of the adults with a concealed handgun permit. If you look at the population, 32% of Louisiana population is black, but less than 10% of the permit holders in the state are black. By contrast, nationwide, 14% of permit holders are black, which is slightly more than their share of the U.S. population. Why is Louisiana so low relative to other states in terms of the percent of the adult population with permits, and in particular the percent of the black population with permits? It's actually pretty simple, and that is it's relatively costly to go and get permits in Louisiana relative to other places. It isn't that blacks in Louisiana don't face violent crime rates that they face in other states. If my academic work convinces me of anything, it's that the most vulnerable people in our society, the people who are most likely victims of violent crime, and that overwhelmingly tends to be poor blacks who live in high crime urban areas, are the ones who benefit the most from having guns. I'll just briefly make a comparison between two states, though there's more sophisticated work on this. Illinois and Indiana. Indiana has over 20% of the adult population with concealed handgun permits. Illinois, it's 3%. What's the difference? In Illinois, it costs $450 to get a concealed handgun permit. In Indiana, it costs $12.95. In Illinois, it's overwhelmingly wealthy whites who live in the suburbs who go and get concealed handgun permits. In Indiana, you see a much higher rate of concealed handgun permits and zip codes.
Can I concede my 3 minutes to him?
I started him over at 3 minutes, so we just need to start wrapping up, and we'll probably have some more points you'll be able to make on questions.
Okay, I'll just make two other sentences. One is how quickly people can get a permit. Right now, it takes about it took about 90 days to get a permit in Louisiana. That may be too long for a woman who's being stalked or threatened. I have discussions I can make on crime, accidental deaths, suicides, and police shootings, too, if the committee's interested. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for information only, we have 19 people wishing to speak on this bill. If you know someone who if you've already spoken on a previous bill and you want to repeat the point, certainly I'm not trying to tell you not to, but again, we have other bills, so your call. Or if you want to maybe try to get with some of the other people and only make one statement in globo for a group, that would be nice too. We don't mind being here as legislators. I just don't want to keep y'all here all night, okay? So right now, we have a question by Representative Fontenot.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman. Representative McCormick, I have a couple questions I'd like to ask you. I appreciate you bringing the bill, and I respect that you are a true constitutionalist. So I guess it's your belief that our constitutional rights begin at the age of 18?
I believe that's the right of account. I believe constitutional rights belong to the fetus in the womb, so I guess they start at conception.
Let me bring your attention back to an email that, sorry about that. On March the 10th of this year, there was an email sent out by your staff requesting co-authors on this bill. You familiar with that, sir?
I don't remember the date, but yes.
It was sent out to just Republicans. You think that Democrats aren't pro-Second Amendment to ask them to be on your bill?
We did get you must be mistaken, because we've got Second Amendment. We have Democrats that have co-authored this bill.
Do you respect the fact that before you are a co-author that you should hear the facts of the case?
Sure.
So do you think that everyone should have signed on as a co-author?
Not at all.
Let me bring your attention to the back of the room. If you don't mind, I'd like to Representative Carrier's in the back of the room. You know, every single day, I'd invite you to come over to my desk, Representative McCormick. Every day, we stand up and we say
Mr. Chairman,
pledge.
Vice Chairman, for a point of order, this may be personal. I don't know if this is the time.
I am paying attention closely to it, and when the question is asked that I think needs not be asked, I will inject.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Do you respect that my seatmate is bound to a wheelchair because he is a victim of violent crime?
What's the question?
Do you respect that my seatmate is bound to that wheelchair because he has 6 bullets embedded in his spine?
I respect the gentleman, yes.
But you would threaten to go to the media because he doesn't want to co-author your bill?
All right, Representative Fontenot, let's stick to the 4 corners of the bill, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I spoke to you about training, and if you spoke to law enforcement on reference to this bill. Did you speak to any of those?
Yes.
Did they suggest training?
Sure, I support training completely.
But you don't support that it be mandated or made available?
Constitutional carry, by definition, it cannot be mandated.
It's been mandated for a long time, but I respect that.
Sure, but that's not constitutional carry.
I respect that. You told me that if I introduced a bill with training, I would ruin my political career. Is that correct?
No. Well,
Okay, guys.
Yes.
We're going to stick to the 4 corners of the bill, please. Representative Fontenot.
So in reference to training, Representative McCormick, you've been having a concealed carry permit since 2007?
I don't know the date.
You're a lifetime concealed carry permit holder now, right?
I don't remember that, to be honest with you.
Do you know if yours is expired or you still legal to carry concealed?
Yes.
So you know that it's still valid?
It's in my pocket, yes.
So let's talk about training and what people should know and why it should be made available. I consider you a gun enthusiast. I listened to you say that you gave somebody 1,000 rounds of ammunition.
I didn't give anybody any ammunition. No, that's incorrect.
In some raffle, you said you would give somebody some free ammunition.
I didn't give anybody any ammunition. We had a raffle that had ammunition, but somebody had to buy a ticket to
out of
win
your
it.
personal stock.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Give us, in your knowledge, give us the top single type of actions in firearms that people should consider when they go to purchase.
I don't understand the question.
What type of firearm actions do they have on weapons when you're considering?
Be more specific.
Single action, double action, safety action, double action only?
What is your question?
My question to the point is, you don't really know anything about firearms.
Your question is, I don't know anything about firearms?
Give us 3 of the top firearm basic safety that people should learn.
You're talking about keeping your gun on safety, point it in a safe direction. Don't point your gun at anything you don't want to kill.
Give us the 3 top shooting positions that people are trained on.
Shooting positions.
All right.
Standing, laying.
We need to wrap up.
Kneeling.
Representative Fontenot,
They
we
are
need to wrap
weaver,
up.
modified weaver, isosceles. But as a concealed carry holder, it's
Right.
important that you know the law.
Right.
Can you go in a restaurant with
Okay,
a concealed
guys,
carry?
we've exceeded, because I interrupted, I offered a little extra time, but we need to close this out. Thank you.
So my last question was, can you carry inside of a restaurant?
Depends
On
on a lot of different factors.
there's only one
Concealed?
factor, but
No,
can you carry
there's multiple.
concealed inside of a restaurant?
You talking
If-
about with a permit or
Yes, sir.
or
With a
without?
permit. With a
All
permit.
right, last question.
Yes.
That is false, sir. If they have an alcohol establishment
No, that is
permit,
not correct.
well, I would refer you to the statute.
Ooh, and
So when we talk about training, Representative McCormick, you clearly displayed you don't know a whole lot about firearms. It's
Representative
important
Fontenot,
that we
we're
have
closed
that
out.
training.
Thank you.
So that citizens-
Representative Fontenot, you should be man enough to
Excuse me.
address me face
Guys,
to face outside
Hold on,
of a public
guys.
meeting.
Stop. Now, hey,
This is shameful. To
Wait
the
a
people
second.
that come here today for you to take a personal vendetta. I'm sorry.
How do I mute? Guys, we're going to get back on track. I have authored the bill. We have turned the microphone off before your comments. Now, we can go forward with the bill, or we can stop and we'll pause this one and we'll come back and do it all over again. And we'll look at another bill if we need to, right? Now, do we want to proceed, and do we want to proceed with decorum? And that's going to be the question. Are y'all ready to proceed? Is everybody ready to proceed in the right attitudes and manner? Well, we'll proceed. Okay. Sir? No. We're gonna call now. We have green cards in support of the bill. And again, I would ask, if you're repeating testimony, give consideration to whether you need to do so or not, but certainly we're not prohibiting anybody. Chris McNutt and Matt Himman.
No more questions for me, Vice Chairman.
No more questions.
Thank you very
Wait,
much.
hold on. We do have, I'm sorry. Just hang on just a minute. Late button. Representative Seabaugh.
Very briefly, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Representative McCormick, thank you for bringing this bill. I know we've talked about this a lot, and I just wanted to, while you're up here, thank you for bringing the bill and to move that we report this favorably.
Thank you.
Motion noted. Okay, Chris McNutt and Matt, is it Himman? You'll have to pronounce your names better if you need to. I will go since, what was name, please?
Chris McNutt.
Okay, Chris, I'm assuming Matt Heeman is choosing not to speak. I would ask Dan Zelinka.
I've said everything I need to say.
Thank you. Robert, Bill, something I can't remember.
Builder back.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
How are y'all doing?
Fine. Okay, Chris, why don't you start us off by introducing yourself? 3-minute rules in effect.
Sure. Good afternoon, Chairman and honorable members of the committee. My name is Chris McNutt, and I'm the Deputy Director of Field Operations for the National Association for Gun Rights, and I'm speaking in favor of House Bill 16. First, I want to thank Representative McCormick for filing House Bill 16. While we're generally supportive of the other constitutional carry bills filed in the Louisiana legislature, his is the cleanest form of constitutional carry, so we thank him for fighting and filing that important bill. The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution states, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, I read that because the emphasis was previously made in the committee here today on the words well-regulated. I want to make it clear, well-regulated did not mean restrictions or forms of gun control. Back when these words were written, we the people were considered the militia, and well-regulated meant that you and me would be prepared to do our duty to preserve and protect our country as the last line of defense against an overbearing federal government, to ensure that our newly formed country would stand the test of time as a beacon of freedom and liberty for the rest of the world. I want to make it very clear, House Bill 16 nor House Bill 596 changes who is able to legally possess or purchase a firearm. It does not repeal gun-free zones. It doesn't change any of the laws surrounding background checks. I want to make it clear, concealed carry permit is not currently required to purchase a firearm in the state of Louisiana. So a lot of the testimony that we've heard today in opposition to constitutional carry frankly have nothing to do with constitutional carry. Ultimately, everyone who is currently prohibited under state and federal law would still be prohibited from carrying in the state of Louisiana. I won't go too much more into this. As you all know, permitless open carry for those at least 18 years of old that are law-abiding citizens can already carry. House Bill 16 simply ends the disparity between open carry and concealed carry by creating uniformity of the law for anybody who's a law-abiding citizen. As was mentioned earlier, 20 other states have constitutional carry, including neighboring Mississippi and Arkansas. And in my state of home state of Texas, we're considering a House bill and the Senate committee tomorrow. And as recently as yesterday afternoon, Governor Abbott announced his intentions to sign that bill and asked the Senate to send it to his desk. So in closing, I would like to leave this question with the members of the committee. Does the Louisiana legislature believe that its citizens aren't as capable as the same freedom and liberty as the citizens of neighboring states and virtually half of the country who have similar laws already on the books? I urge you to bring this bill to the House floor and support making Louisiana the 21st constitutional carry state. Get it done before Texas does. No compromises, no watering down amendments, and no delays. And with that, I thank you for giving me the time to speak here today.
2 minutes and 58 seconds.
I'm trying not to be a politician.
With that, Robert, you got to beat that, man.
All right, thank you. First, I want to thank you all for coming and letting us speak today.
Please introduce yourself first.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Robertbilder. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm here to support House Bill 16. Most of what I was going to say has been said, so I'm going to skip all of that. There was one story I ran across while preparing for this, though, that I think's worth hearing. See, her name was Carol Boone, and she had petitioned her government for a concealed handgun permit, took her class, and she checked on the status of it regularly. 2 days before her ex-boyfriend brutally murdered her, stabbing her multiple times as she went home, walking in her house, coming home from work. She had asked about this permit just 2 days before and had still not been granted it. The thing is that in these precious moments, time is of the essence. We don't have days and hours to give victims to defend themselves. They have to act in that moment. And she's not alone in this long quest for her concealed handgun permit. I've waited over a year for mine and have still not received it. I mailed it in. I've taken it at Red River Range in Shreveport. I've talked with them constantly, and we've been told things just take time, and I've still yet to receive it. I meant to bring the paperwork with me, and in the haste of getting here, I left it on my desk. But if anyone wants to see any of it, I can easily provide it for you and show you that this is all factual. And fortunately, I'm not in positions where I need to conceal guns all the time. Usually I can carry them on my hip. But not everyone has that blessing. You know, there are places, stores you go to, they'll allow you to conceal but not open carry. And are we going to have people harmed when they go to Walmart because Walmart wants them to hide it instead of have it out in the open, which is a reasonable request. The second thing I wanted to talk to, and he left, he was talking about training, how this doesn't put it in the bill. But I'll tell you, the one he talked about, prone position, in our concealed handgun permit, they don't talk about that. So this military grade training he wants us to have isn't even what's taught in a concealed handgun class. The other thing is it's the criminal justice aspect of it. A lot of the people I see when I look through bookings are people of color who have been charged for a simple possession of a firearm. And I got
30 seconds.
Okay, and I was curious how this went about, so I studied in New York, and I found in Stop and to stop and frisk, people of color were frisked and oftentimes found things on them that weren't supposed to be there, and then they were found guilty of a crime that there was never any probable cause for. I see the same thing going on with these concealed handgun permits. We need to end this. We need to protect all of those among us, whether it be men, women, people of color, and we need to put an end to this. As far as more guns causing more problems, just 10 more seconds if I may. This last summer in my town, some Confederates came to our town and threatened peaceful protesters with guns. And our cops were able to do nothing. And so what happened was civilians came with guns. While I love law enforcement and I say trust them, let's trust our neighbors. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, Chris, I'll make the point that Robert said he was going to be brief, and he exceeded. All right, so he might be the politician at the table.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Additional green cards in support if you feel like you still need to speak. Maybe I call Mike Weinberger. Do you pass? Joshua Barnhill wishes to speak. Paul Glasgow.
How you doing? My name is Josh Barnhill, Louisiana Director for Gun Owners of America. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Here representing Gun Owners of America and Louisiana members. Nothing really new to add. Just want to say we are in support of Representative McCormick's bill. We feel it's the closest to the full constitutional carry, and is the bill, constitutional carry bill that GOA has endorsed. So I thank Representative McCormick for filing his bill, and the committee for hearing it today, and ask that you please pass it favorably. Thank you.
My name is Paul Glasgow with Legally Armed America TV show out of Lake Charles. I just want to actually share an email from one of my viewers. We encourage a lot of feedback on our show. It may be topics that people want us to discuss, or just discuss some of the topics we've gone over. This is an email that was sent to me. It's been quite some time now, probably when many of these bills were actually put out earlier this year. I'm going to read exactly how it's written. Mr. Glasgow, I am a single mother of 3 living in a very heavily populated complex with just myself and my kids. I have to walk a good ways from my car to my apartment because of the way the complex is laid out. I want to know what I can do to support carrying a gun without a license. Now, she says without a license, but she's meaning a permit. I recently got a little revolver and had a friend show me how to use it. We actually went to the same range where you film your show. I was actually a pretty good shot, and you would have been proud of my targets. I watch your show because it is on cable and is entertaining while I am getting the kids ready for church on Sundays. I don't always agree with everything you say because I am a staunch Democrat. But you are a good man, and I think you are looking out for all of us regardless of politics. But I 150% agree with you about carrying a gun without a license. I am in the middle of an ugly breakup with my ex. Then I'm going to paraphrase here because he still thinks he is my boyfriend. He ain't. This is her words. And he's crazy. I know the police ain't going to do anything about him unless he breaks in my house or hurts me and one of the kids, so I don't bother reporting him. The only thing that helps me sleep at night is my new revolver. Nobody made me go to the range and buy those bullets. I do preach training on my show, so that's why she's referencing this, I suppose. Nobody made me go to the range and buy those bullets that I practice with. I did that because I want to make sure that if I have to use my gun, I don't hit one of my babies or anybody else's. I seen your show on getting the concealed carry license. If it costs me $125 to take the course and another $125 for the state to give me the license, along with the fingerprint cards and the ID picture, and I'm still going to need the bullets to pass my test, like you said, I'm up to $300. That's like 30 or 40 pounds of ground meat. This is somebody equating the costs of this to food on the table. So that means that I would have to not feed my babies and myself for 1 whole month just so that I could afford to get this license. The whole point of getting the license in the first place is for me and the babies to live. If I can't feed them, what is the point in having the license? That's all I have.
Thank you. No questions. Next up, if you still wish to speak, Noah Salawitz. Keith Edwards. Everett Boding. In addition to those entering green cards and wishing to speak. We have 76 green cards not wishing to speak and 143 emails in support. We'll now go to those in opposition, beginning with Kelvin Wells Jr. and Angela Bradford. And if I missed any of those names, if you are still here wishing to speak in opposition. Are you Kelvin?
I am.
Okay, so we'll also ask S. Brown, Sandy Brown as well. Is she? All right. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, sir.
And you have the mic.
My name is Kelvin Wells. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. To the chair, members of the committee, and those here assembled. As a policy scientist now for 6 years in the state of Louisiana, it astounds me the ends to which members of this committee and other committees in the legislature go to spin their bills in various lights. If we're going to address the issue, if this bill is some golden-hearted diversity measure to make African Americans safer, then perhaps we should consider some of the other determinants of crime, such as poverty, lack of education. We're 49th in that. Lack of access to adequate health care, we're like 49th or 50th in that. And we switched back and forth with Mississippi on that one. So there are so many more determinants of crime and exposure to crime, violent crime, competition for limited resources in underserved communities. And that list goes on and on and on. And it perplexes me that the first thing that comes to the minds of members of the legislature is to allow the proliferation of guns in our communities. When time and time again, many studies by the Pew Research Center, by the American Civil Liberties Union, by the Southern Poverty Law Center, by Southern University, of which I'm an alumnus, students of LSU, of which I will soon be an alumnus from the public administration program, have shown that with the proliferation of guns comes more gun violence. That's not an opinion that I hold. That is something that's demonstrably and statistically illustrated, should one choose to educate oneself in such a manner. I understand that many people here today have chosen not to do so, and that's how we end up in the state as some of the conditions that we find ourselves facing. And so I would offer that if the true intent of this bill is to rid African Americans and people of color, other people of color, of the crime-ridden neighborhoods and inner cities and whatever other tropes have been used today, to rid them of those ills, then perhaps we should start with more pressing issues like the climate crisis or lack of access to higher education, well-funded higher education in this country, in this state, or access to after-school programs, things that have been proven to drive down instances of poverty and gun violence in communities. I don't think the solution to too much pepper in a dish is to add more pepper to the dish. I just don't think that's how that works. So I won't sit here and pretend that I have much faith in this committee to do the right thing on this bill, though some members will. But I will ask you to at least before you
30
vote,
seconds.
Thank you, sir. Before you vote in whatever manner you so choose today, to at least consider some of the other measures perhaps that could also help improve the plight of African Americans, and perhaps sponsor or author some of those bills. I'll be watching to see which of you choose to do so. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So as you can see, we're both Black.
Please introduce
So
yourself.
my name is Angel, and we will speak for our people, unlike some folks who choose to speak on our behalf. First things first, we are aware that House Bill 16, it still lowers the age to 18, correct? Okay. This bill is not about women. Our Louisiana delegation actually didn't support the Violence Against Women Act at the federal level. It's not about Black and brown people. Kelvin outlined many things we can do to help our communities. And it's not about the 73% of Louisianans that have said repeatedly in different surveys that they support background checks, permitting, and training. So I'm not being represented here. 73% of us are not being represented here. And so it leads me to question who is represented here. I should be at work. 73% of Louisianans probably are at work, and that's why they're not here. Countless folks have said we've not mention the facts, or there's no facts to show that HB 16 would be negative for Louisiana. We told you all the facts repeatedly, but those are ignored. Supporters, of course, have also said that permalist won't turn us into the Wild Wild West. That's a pretty low bar and simplifies the very complex problem of gun violence that we have and that we're willing to discuss with y'all. And other folks will say that emboldening criminals to carry guns, no questions asked, will somehow reduce crime. As I stated before, Arizona enacted this in 2010. They saw an 8% increase in annual rate of aggravated assaults. Alaska did it too in 2003. The state experienced a 65% increase in aggravated assaults. In our state, we're already the second highest rate of gun homicide. I guess we're going for first. Gun deaths in the U.S. have increased by 15% from 2010 to 2019, and we know that COVID was really bad for gun violence, suicide, domestic violence, mass shootings, all the things. Firearms are the leading cause of death of children. And finally, I want to address the argument that permitless open carry is allowed in Louisiana, and this bill isn't any different. Simply put, responsible gun owners have not traditionally carried firearms openly, and the lack of laws about open carry does not mean that it is a policy that should be extended to concealed carry. A majority of states require a permit to carry a concealed handgun, including Alabama, Georgia, Florida, us, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Texas, and this bill would make Louisiana in a minority of states, including in the South. As we saw last week, Texas couldn't pass permitless carry. I'm glad they didn't. And then also last thing, folks keep referencing Chicago, which of course I always take issue with because it is a majority black and brown
30
city.
seconds, please.
And Chicago, as of yesterday, actually sued Indiana. So whenever we're talking about Chicago and how strict their laws are, the issue is not Chicago or Illinois' laws. The issue is Indiana and Mississippi. That is where most of their guns are coming from. So thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. Ms. Brown, Nanette Oliver, if you're still wish to speak. And we will have, next up will be Laura Devitt. You'll be next up. Okay, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sandy Brown. I spoke earlier and those comments also apply. Dan Zelenka, my buddy back here, brought up the Heller decision by the Supreme Court, in which the right to own personal firearms was affirmed. Justice Anton Scalia, who was the darling of the conservatives as a justice, affirmed that decision, but he also wrote something that I think bears considering and in this record. He writes, like most rights, the right secured by the Second Amendment is not unlimited. It is not a right to keep and carry any weapon whatsoever in any manner whatsoever for whatever purpose. We all live with rules and regulations. I am not permitted to hang up a sign saying I'm a brain surgeon and I can do neurosurgery on you because I am not that person and I am not trained to do it. I think having training is critical. I also think the age of 18 is critical because think back when you were 18. Did you do everything thoughtfully without impulse? Did you ever make mistakes at 18 that maybe at 28, 38 you would have not done? Impulse control in young people is not fully formed by brain development till the 20s. So let's keep that decision and let's keep that fact in order. And finally, I want to bring up a point that Representative Marcel made earlier about if black people are stopped with guns and how they treated. I have no fear that the police would ever harm me. Look at me. I'm a short, old, white grandmother. I'm a woman who's had many privileges bestowed on me. I think of Philando Castile, who worked in a school cafeteria, beloved by the students, who would often, out of his own pocket, take money to pay for school lunches when the children couldn't. He was stopped in a routine traffic accident or traffic stop. He revealed to the officer who stopped him that he had a permit to carry a gun and the gun was in his car. And yet, with his hands on the dashboard, he was still shot and killed.
30 seconds.
I think if we look at this dispassionately, these gun bills will put our black citizens more at risk. I have great love and regard for many young black people I've met, and I am truly worried about them. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about them with this law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nanette Olivier, a resident of Baton Rouge, and I'm with Moms Demand Action. I will be brief because my comments on the previous bill stand, and Sandy just addressed some of my concerns. I do want to say that I'm particularly concerned about the reduction to the age of 18 in this bill for a permitless carry. 18-year-olds, for the most part, are not fully developed to adult maturity levels. They tend to have impulse control issues that we don't see smoothing out until later 20s. To allow these individuals to carry a deadly weapon without proper training, or frankly even with training, I think puts the public at large in jeopardy. When I look at highly trained law enforcement officers who are placed in very emotional and risky situations, and we see it almost every night on the news that people make the wrong decision about when to pull the trigger, and with deadly consequences. And we live in a tinderbox country at this point, and giving arms to 18-year-olds that they can carry concealed without training, I think is just going to put us further in jeopardy as a country. Yesterday, I found out that a friend of mine's son was killed by a policeman in their home, and it was a situation of a mistake of pulling the gun on someone who really was not a threat and did not carry a weapon. And I wonder how 18-year-olds without adequate training can make responsible decisions in those very difficult and emotional situations. So I urge you to vote no on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is this Ms. Laura?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll also be brief. Again, my name is Laura Devitt, and I thank you for allowing me to speak. The only thing that I would like to add is also about, in addition to my testimony earlier about unintentional shootings, of which there have been 90 incidents since 2016 and 29 deaths that involve children, is that this bill lowers the age for concealed carry to 18. 18 to 20-year-olds commit 4 times as many gun homicides as adults that are 21 and over. Going back to the concern about unintentional shootings, the concerns about the lack of training are only increased when you lower the age to allow teenagers to carry without a permit or training. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Devitt. We also, I think Vice Chair mentioned a number of green cards. We had another 13 cards in opposition. We do have some white cards. Fabian Blach, Chiefs of Police Association, whose president, would like to speak, and Mike Knapp, Louisiana Chiefs of Police Association, his president, would like to speak.
Mr. Chairman, committee, thank you very much for allowing us to be here. My name is Fabian Blach, Executive Director of the Chiefs of Police Association. I will be very brief. We do not oppose concealed carry. We oppose concealed carry without any education whatsoever or any training. That's what the Chiefs of Police are concerned about. Now we've got a situation where you're going to give a 18-year-old the opportunity to place a gun under his shirt, jacket, or whatever. And I don't think that they're prepared to do that without any training whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blach. Chief, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Mike Knapp, retired police chief, City of Baker, 35 years of service. Now I serve the Louisiana Association of Chiefs of Police as their legislative chairman. Speaking from a police chief's point of view, it concerns me at this age of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. It's we have a completely different dialogue with that age of young male, especially. Their maturity level seems to be a little slower in reaching where they need to make the proper decisions in a tough situation. And I would urge you to please not support this bill, because we're really concerned what's going to happen with these young people being able to have these weapons available. We've seen a lot of things happen through the years of people just not being prepared to make the right decision at the right time. And it just concerns me that if a weapon is available, how much more the devastation would be. So we encourage you to vote no for this bill.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blach. We also have John Lott, Crime Prevention Research Center, who's president, would like to give information. And I think it's W. Scott Brown Home Defense Foundation.
John Lott's already spoken.
Oh, he's already spoken? Sorry. Mr. What about Brown?
James, I'll waive.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Mr. McCormick, Rep, to close on your bill. Oh, and McKnight, you have a question? But before you close.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Hold on. Let's get to the question before you close.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, a little bit of a question, but more of a statement that, as we all know, look, I support constitutional carry, but we all do have our own districts, and we hear from our own people. And the concerns that have come out of my district are that the ages that have been referenced here, between ages 18 and 21, is a problem. I've heard it from law enforcement. I've heard it from a bunch of different backgrounds here. And the other concern I have with this that was addressed in Senator Morris's bill, I believe will be addressed in Senator Morris's bill and Rep. Fontenot's bill, is the availability of the free training that was set up from the state police. Because I've said it before, I'm a big proponent of the training. I do believe everybody should have it. But if we're going this far, and we're getting to where constitutional carry is going to be there, if there is no training available that is easily accessible and free for people to do, I am concerned that some people will do this without training and not have the availability. If money's the issue for getting a permit, then training may be an issue for the money as well for training. So I do like the language that was set up and established that of free available training through state police that may not get everybody's concerns, but it's something that I'm truly concerned about. But I understand and I'm supportive of constitutional carry. I just like components of some of these other bills that address those two issues, the ages 18 to 21 and the training.
And if I can make a comment to that, 20 other states have it, and none of them have the mandatory training. And by definition, constitutional carry.
This was not mandatory. I was just saying a avenue in which people can receive free training, even at the minimal piece. It's available. Right. So I'm not saying mandatory training.
Okay. All right. Well, in 20 other states, this has been enacted. I don't know about the last two. 9 of the 18 started at 18 years of age. So that's something that has been covered. Are you aware that Louisiana is an open carry state, and in 18 you can legally open carry?
I understand. Yeah. Okay. As I referenced with Rep. Fontenot's bill earlier, you can open carry. I understand that. I still said that training is important. And to me, what they did, what Rep. Fontenot did in his bill, was he set up a mechanism in which that free training was available.
Right.
And because I just want people to have that available to them, and that mechanism allowed for it and had the state set it up to where money wouldn't be an issue. It's online, so taking time away from work and everything else is not an issue. It makes it available for our citizens to be able to do this. So I'm just making a comment to you that I'm in support of everything here, but I do believe that component of his bill is important, an important piece that makes that training available for everybody.
And sure, I'm all for free anything. You know, I just don't know that it needs to be a part of a bill.
All
I mean,
right.
it gets confused. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It gets confusing when you start, you know, I don't know how free training needs to be part of a bill, though. But anyhow, I support all training, all free training. Training sounds good to me.
We opened up. Now we got a couple more questions. Representative Fondo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative McCormick, according to the National Crime Statistics data, do you know that what age group is the highest crime rated for violent crimes?
That's why I had Dr. John Lott here earlier. I wish you had asked him those questions. We flew him in from Montana for those questions.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. Would it be a surprise to you if I told you that most violent crimes committed in America were committed by individuals between the ages of 18 and 20?
He had information to refute that. So
the FBI statistics you think
we were
are
talking
wrong?
about gun violations. You know. Are you talking about gun violations?
I'm talking about murders, violent crime with guns.
Right. I'm just interested in guns. Is all he was interested in.
So when the FBI says that more gun violence occurs by people the ages of 18, 19, or 20, you agree with that or you disagree?
I have no idea. That's there again. I don't have that information. That's why we flew John Lott in from Montana to answer those questions.
Thank you, Mr.
He
Chairman.
wrote 2 or 3 books on this specific subject.
Thank you, Representative Marcel. He is on closing. Remember.
Just one question. I'm sorry, I was in the back.
Yes, ma'am.
For some parts of this bill. Other than the age difference and the training, your bill is pretty much mirrors Fontenot's bill. Is that correct?
You know, I wasn't in committee when Fontenot's bill was presented, and I hadn't seen.
You hadn't read it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay, they're pretty much the same except for the age and the training requirements. I just want to know. I didn't know if you guys had.
I don't think they're not training requirements, according to Representative McKnight. They're free training available. If they'd like to have
Availability.
it.
The availability, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's
Thank
all
you.
I want.
Thank you, Representative Marcel. Now you can close on your bill.
You bet, guys. I sure do appreciate this. What I'd like for the committee to realize that this was about a year and a half coming up with this bill, traveling around the state. I talked to several people, and they wanted constitutional carry, which does not carry any government mandated training or any other government mandates. The age seems to be a problem to some people. I don't understand that at all. I would like to share with you that I have 4 granddaughters. They are, my oldest granddaughter is 8. When she was 7, she killed her first deer. She killed another one, she's 8. When she turns 18, she'll be very proficient with a weapon. In Louisiana, she's allowed to strap a firearm on her side at 18 and walk around town. But if she takes that same firearm and puts it in her purse, now she's a criminal. I don't see the logic in that at a state. As far as this being open carry, there were a lot of concerns when Louisiana became an open carry state at 18 years of age. And actually there are some with open carry with a note from your parents, you can still open carry in some instances. But, you know, I think it's very important that when our young ladies leave the house at 18 years of age, when they're most vulnerable in their whole life, that they're able to take a firearm and protect themselves. I can't imagine me coming to Baton Rouge and offering a bill that doesn't allow women 18, 19, and 20 to put a gun in their purse and protect them from a violent attack. To me, that's unacceptable. I'd rather have people that stand up and vote against my bill because of the age than I would go back home to my granddaughters and let them know I ran that bill. So I'm very passionate about that age. And I would like to, I told you we spent a long period of time going around the state. I'd like to share with you the we've got an email address that 8,000 people have signed up just to receive our emails about constitutional carry. We had over 30 co-authors. We had several endorsements in people that stood with us on the bill. Ted Nugent, Louisiana Crime Fighters, Louisiana Values Commission, Firearms Professionals of Louisiana, Home Defense Foundation, LouisianaVets.org, NorthShoreVoters.org, Greater New Orleans Tea Party, LouisianaLiberty.org, Northeast Watchdogs, LouisianaGrassroots.org, North Shore Tea Party, National Association of Gun Rights, Gun Owners of America, and the National Rifle Association. I'd like to end with this statement. House Bill 16 is a bill whose time has come. This is a simple cleanup of the law to treat concealed carry the same as open carry. All we are asking you to do is trust the people of Louisiana with their God-given freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McCormick. Representative Seabaugh has made a motion to move the bill favorable as amended. Is there any objection? Representative Marino objects. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bacala? Yes. Representative Bryant? No. Representative Fontenot? No. Representative Gudo? No. Representative Jones? No. Representative Marcel? No. Representative Marino? No. Representative McKnight? No. Representative Muscarello? Yes. Representative Nelson? Yes. Representative Seabaugh? Yes. Representative Villio? No. 4 yeas, 8 nays.
4
Thank you,
yeas,
guys.
8 nays.
Appreciate
The
your
bill
time.
fails. Thank you, Representative.